Okay, we're going to get started in just a minute, and you can see on my screen that I have the link to today's session posted. Today we are doing beginner programming, or the foundations of programming, using Scratch. And Scratch is great. Let me switch back to my camera. Stop share, cool. Scratch is a really nice way to learn about programming because it is a visual scripting language. It's actually called block scripting. So we click and drag blocks onto the screen, and we can see literally what the computer's doing in step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, so on and so forth. This is great for just learning how to program in general. It's also good for learning how to make things like games. You can see I'm in my office and I have a lot of board games. Board games work like any games where you do an action, then something else happens. Then you take another turn, then another thing happens, and so on and so forth. So let's talk about what we're going to learn today and how we're going to learn it. First things first, introducing who we are. I'm Eric. I'm a college professor at programming. Specifically, I teach games, game development, game programming, things like that, but I know a whole bunch of different programming and art and animation stuff too. So Mommy Daddy Me is a company that is focused on bringing quality education across borders. So we are providing these first 2 weeks of sessions for free. For anyone who wants to learn on this brand new live streaming platform. And all you have to do, if you're new to Mommy Daddy Me, is click sign up. And if you're a parent or you're a child, you need your parent to sign up. And then your parent can enroll in courses. So I'll switch over to this tab, and you'll see that there are a whole bunch of different courses available, from learning English with Be Smart Encyclopedia, to learning Mandarin Chinese, to learning coding, which is what we're going to do today. So let's take a look at basics of what we're going to do today. Today's main lesson is going to be learning how to draw an animation. So let's watch this quick video which has English and Chinese subtitles.
Daddy Me. Today's lesson is draw an animation. We are going to actually draw an animation by editing a Sprite's costumes. First things first, let's choose a character. We don't really need a backdrop this time. I'm going to choose the frog. Now, let's click the Costumes tab. If we see, the frog only has one costume. However, we can add another costume by right-clicking the costume and clicking Duplicate. Now it has a second costume. For the second costume, let's click the tongue portion of the frog, and let's stretch it out. Now let's duplicate this one more time and place it below. So the first one will have a regular sized tongue, the second one will have a long tongue, and the third one, let's give it a short tongue. Now, let's go back to the code and see how it looks. If we click Events, when this sprite is clicked, looks, switch costume to frog. Then let's wait in control about 0.2 seconds. Then let's right click the switch and duplicate it, attach it to the bottom, but change it to frog 2. And let's duplicate it again and change it to frog 3. Let's try that.
Welcome back. So that's mostly what we're going to learn today. I'm going to bring up a document so that we can list the things needed to learn what we need to learn today. So let's take a look at this notepad document. Today's lesson, we are going to work in the costumes tab, and we're going to learn about animation and all the things that that takes. We're also going to learn about a loop called the repeat loop. So repeat, we'll say X number of times. And remember, X is a variable, and if this is your first time programming, that's okay. What we mean by X is X can equal 4, or X can equal 10, or X can equal 2,342. X can be anything we want it to be. So that's what I mean by saying X. Repeat X number of times. And in addition to the loops, we're also going to learn about wait. And the wait block is very important for Scratch and for programming with computers in general. Wait is going to say, hold on, or we'll say stop working, not stop working, pause. We'll say pause. Pause what you're doing for, again, we'll use X seconds. And we're lucky because Scratch very easily works with seconds, like human seconds, how we feel like how we perceive time, which is 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. Some other programming languages go a lot faster than human time because computers are fast. But we're going to work with regular seconds here, which is great, easy for us. So wait, pause what you're doing for X seconds. And we're going to use these two in combination, looping and waiting, in order to make what's called a walk cycle. So, and a walk cycle is changing costumes to look like the character is moving. Okay, so a cycle is something that happens over and over and over. You know, we call people who ride bikes cyclists. So changing costumes to look like the character is moving. Okay, and this is all what we're going to do by using Scratch. So once again, I'll share this screen with you. If you do not have Scratch, you can go to the website scratch.mit.edu. And that's going to allow you to start creating from the website immediately if you click the create button. If you don't have a computer with you, that's also fine. You can just follow along. And by the way, at any point, please feel free to ask questions. I'm going to use the Scratch desktop version. And if I search for Scratch desktop, the link is scratch.mit.edu/download. And that will allow you to download the desktop version of Scratch, which lets you use Scratch even if you don't have an internet connection, which is nice. Okay, so are we ready to go? Awesome. Let's share our Scratch workspace. I believe we call it a stage. And here we are. So every Scratch project starts like this, with our cat in the middle of the stage. It's known as a sprite. A sprite just means a two-dimensional image. We can have several different sprites in a scene by going down here and choosing more sprites. But for now, let's make this cat look like it's walking. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to spend a lot of time today in the costumes tab. You can see there's the code tab where we have different sections of code, like all the motion things are blue and the top, all the looks are purple next, and so on and so forth. But we're going to go in the costumes tab for now. And we can see that this cat has two costumes. One with its leg stretched out, its right leg stretched out, and the other with its right leg curled in and its left leg back. And what we're going to do is switch back and forth between these costumes to make it look like he's walking. Okay, so instead of me clicking 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, instead of me clicking, we're going to tell the computer to do this. So let's go to the code tab. And let's do it when this sprite clicked. So we'll take our head block from events. When this sprite is clicked, we are going to go to control. Actually, first let's do it one time. Let's do it one time, switch between the first costume and the second costume, and then we'll do it more than one time, okay? Just to get a sense of how it works. So let's go to looks, and let's just go to next costume. And so let's click the sprite to see what happens. You can see that he goes to the next costume, and then if I click again, he goes back to his first costume. We want to do this, let's say 10 times. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to control, and we're going to repeat. We're going to take this repeat block out, repeat, and we're going to wrap it around the purple next costume block. And we'll drop it right there. So when this sprite is clicked, repeat next costume 10 times. Okay, and let's click to see what happens. Whoa, that was fast. If you remember, I mentioned that computers go very quickly unless we tell them not to. So let's give them a more human time element. And by that, we'll use the wait block. So what we'll do is we'll force the computer to wait in between switching costumes. Okay, so what it will do is it will actually, let me clear this for a second. 1 second is a long time, but let's keep it for now, just so we can see what the computer is doing. Okay, and what the computer is going to do is it's going to go, when you click the sprite, it's going to switch the costume, then it's going to wait 1 second. And this is my drawing of a clock. And then it's going to loop back. You can see this little loop icon right here. Then it's going to loop back, and it's going to go to the next costume, and then it's going to wait 1 second. Then it's going to loop back, and then it's going to next costume, wait, loop, 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 loop. And it's going to do that 10 times. So let's watch it happen when we click. And you can count along with me. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ta-da! We did it. We just made our first walk cycle. Now, in a lot of programs, you may not want to wait a full second in between. As you can see, this took a really long time to move from one to the other. It's like this cat is walking very slowly. So let's go ahead and change this number, which is nice. This is like the X that I was talking about. This is a variable, okay? And we'll type the word variable, okay? X. This is like X. And by variable, we mean the value can change. And we can determine what value is inside of this variable. Okay, so let's go ahead and click in here and change it from 1 second to 0.2 seconds, or depending on where you live, 0.2. So now it's going to go to the next costume. It's going to do the same thing, but it's going to wait a lot less. and it's going to wait 0.2 seconds. So let's go ahead and click it. Nice. It's a lot faster than the 1 second. That looks more like a walk. Okay, and we can change it to be 0.1 seconds if we want, and it'll be even faster. So depending on how fast you want your sprite to look, you can either set this to be a specific value, or you can even change it in the middle of your program if you want. Okay, great. So that's a good way to start learning about the repeat block and the wait block. If there are any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I'll take a look and try to answer them. Or you can use the Q&A feature, or you can raise your hand. There's a lot of options you got right now. So now what we're going to do is we are going to choose a new sprite, and we're actually going to draw its costume. So we're going to make it so that the costume changes to one that we created. And when we create costumes, that means we can determine the size of the costume, the different things that are on the costume, and we can also determine the colors of the costume. So for all the creative, colorful, artistic people out there, Scratch is really good for allowing you to make animations and make really neat art projects. Okay, so I'm going to click Share once again. I'm going to go to my Scratch desktop, and we're going to make a new project. I'm going to click File, New. It's going to ask me if I want to replace the contents. I'm going to say OK. It's OK. We can start over again. If you wanted to save what we had, you can click File, Save to your computer. Okay, cool. So let's get rid of this mouse, or cat, sorry. And I just clicked the X in the top right corner of the cat. And let's go ahead and choose a sprite. So choose a sprite. Let's find one that we can easily change the costume for. In the video, we used the frog, and the frog was pretty good. Let's see if we can find something similar. You know what? I like the frog because it has a tongue already. So let's use that. That's nice and simple. Okay, and for this, let's also create a backdrop. Choose a backdrop. Let's have the frog, excuse me, work in blue sky. Here he is. Okay, so one thing I noticed right away if I'm working on this this project is that this frog's color is very close to this color in the background. So let's go over to its costume tab. One thing we can do is we can use the fill tool, which looks like a bucket of paint, and we can actually change the color of certain aspects of the costume. So we can make his body a different color, maybe not so light. Let's give it like a darker color, maybe like a dark blue, nice blue frog. And then let's color its legs as well. And maybe we can make his hands red. How about that? Cool. Okay, that looks weird, but that's fine. We can, that's totally okay. So what we can do here is we can actually edit different parts of this frog. You can see that if I hover over the body and if I use my selection tool, I can click on the body and then edit it and make it larger, smaller, or make it wider or thinner. And I'm actually going to undo that by clicking this undo button, and I'll undo it back to normal. So what we are going to do is we are going to take this frog and we're going to make several costumes, just like we did with the cat, but this time we have control of it. So go ahead and right-click this costume, and if you're on a Mac, it may be easier to control-click. So hold the control button down and click. And then we're going to duplicate. Now we have a second costume here. Its name is its costume name is Frog2. For Frog2, let's stretch its tongue out really long. Yeah, how about that? And actually, let's stretch it out even longer. Yeah, cool. Let's make it so that this frog can catch flies or something like that. How about that? And then again, let's right click and duplicate. And for frog 3, let's drag it down to the bottom. We could change the order of our costumes by clicking and dragging. And for frog 3, let's use this to find our frog again. And then we can zoom in on it. And let's make it a little bit less lengthy. Okay, so normal, medium length, super length, and then we'll go back to medium length and then normal. Okay, normal, medium, long, medium, normal. And again, right now I'm doing this manually, which means I'm the human, I'm controlling it. We want this to be automatic. We want the computer to do it. Okay, so we're going to go back over to the code tab, and we're going to have similar code to what we did before. Let's go to events. And this time, let's try to use keys on the keyboard instead of clicking our sprite. Okay, it's going to be very similar, but let's get some practice using keys. So when space key pressed, we're going to go to looks, and we are going to go to switch costume to frog. So start with the original costume. Then in events, in control, we're going to wait. And again, we're going to change this wait value to something like 0.2 seconds. And 0.2 is the same as 0.2. 0.2 seconds is 2/10 of a second, which means that there are 5 of them in 1 second. I know, surprise miniature math lesson in here. So thanks for sticking around for that. Now, what I'm going to do, which is nice in Scratch, is that blocks stick together. So if I click this top block and drag it around, all of them move. If I click this one, these two move. And what's great about that is I can right-click this one. Again, if you're on a Mac, it's control-click. And I can duplicate it. And now I have both of these blocks. And I can click down here and attach it. And we're going to switch from original to medium. Then we're going to right-click, duplicate again. From medium to long. Duplicate one more time. Long to medium. And last but not least, medium to original. Okay, so let's annotate this. It's going to go from frog, which is costume 1. Then it's going to go to, this one is short. Let's just type short. Short tongue. Then it's going to go medium tongue. Then it's going to go long tongue. Then it's going to go medium tongue. And finally, it'll go back to short tongue. Okay, and I will keep this here, just move it over a little bit. Okay, so let's click the space key to, oh, sorry about that. Let's click the space key to test this out. Nice, that looks awesome. Yeah, that's really great. Okay. So what's one, there's a thing that we can do that's pretty neat. And it's like an extra bonus. It's like a bonus lesson, but I think we have time to do it. So the other thing we can do is create what's called a function. Okay, and a function in programming is a short set of instructions wrapped up like a present. Okay, so we can create a short set of instructions wrapped up like a present. And what this does is it makes our code a little bit more readable, and it also keeps it more organized. Okay, so we have a lot of things happening here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 10 things. So let's go ahead and go to My Blocks, make a block, and we'll call it something. And let's call it tongue out. And we'll click OK. And tongue out is going to be all of these things right here. So tongue out is all 10 of these. And now you can see that we have in our My Blocks section, tongue out. It's right here. It's a single block. We're going to drag it out and put it here. And now when we press space, it does tongue out. And tongue out is all of this stuff. So we took, where's my annotation? We took all of this and smashed it into this one little block right here. And this is an important programming lesson because functions exist in every single programming language. It doesn't matter if you're learning C++ or Java or Python. Consolidating or making your long things, your long operations into one small one is a very neat, organized, and efficient way to code. Okay? So again, things we learned today. We learned about the wait block, we learned about the repeat block, and we learned about functions. We also learned about walk cycles. Okay, so we learned how to make a walk cycle, which means changing the sprite from one to the other, to one to the other, to one to the other, really quickly so it looks like something is moving. And we also learned how to repeat in a cycle over and over and over. We learned how to create a function and how to define that function. So we took a whole bunch of operations, like 10, and we encapsulated them and made them just one. So then all this one block became 5 different functions underneath it, or 5 operations. Okay, and all of these are super important for programming. So before I leave you, I'd like to show you how to register for classes, because these free streaming sessions are fantastic. But if you want to learn more, you can learn with a tutor like myself or one of our other programming tutors. And you can do that at mommydaddymeme.com. Okay, so one thing you can do is log in, and if you have a parent, you need a parent to enroll in the classes. So you can have your parent log in and then go to live learning, and you can filter by what you want to learn. So today we learned about coding. So I can click the coding button and we have a whole bunch of different coding classes. We have the Scratch lessons, we have Python lessons. Python's currently the world's most popular programming language. And we also have game making with Unity. So if you specifically are interested in making video games, Unity is free and it's one of the most popular ways to make games nowadays. And you just click free trial if this is your first time, or you can get a class. You choose your child that you want, and it's super easy to sign up for. Okay, you can also, well, you can find Scratch in this section right here, which is nice. And tomorrow we're going to be holding another live streaming session. And tomorrow it's going to be Little Scientists with Tutor Megan. And that's an awesome stream to watch because she does live experiments, and children and parents can follow along. So definitely log in for that. Um, and yeah, that is mostly it. I want to thank you for being here with me, and I want to thank you for attending this session. And I also want to encourage you to keep coding and keep learning how to code. If you have any questions or would like to get any advice about coding, programming, or learning in general, please reach out to us. Find us on customer service or look up my information. And thanks again for stopping by, and we'll see you all soon. I hope to be teaching you more advanced programming in the near future. All right, bye.